In a previous video, we talked about how fossil fuel power stations are used to generate electricity to be passed onto the national grid and distributed to our homes. But there are a few other energy resources that we can use to generate electricity and use to power our everyday lives. In this video, I'm going to go through a few of the main ones and also talk about some positives and some negatives associated with each of them, pros and cons. So just to recap fossil fuels quickly, these are burned in order to boil water, and then the steam that comes off that boiling water is used to turn a turbine, which powers a generator producing electricity. Positive of these is that it's very reliable. It's not like sometimes the coal just doesn't burn or anything. But a massive drawback is that burning fossil fuels produces carbon dioxide, which is a massive greenhouse gas, and the greenhouse effect is a huge driver of climate change, so very bad for the environment. Nuclear power plants work in a similar way, but the water is boiled by radioactive material, which is very hot. So these are very reliable as well, and they're much more efficient than fossil fuels. They don't produce any carbon dioxide, however, they do produce other dangerous waste, which is very difficult to dispose of safely. Wind turbines turn electrical generators just by using the wind itself. So these are very environmentally friendly. They are very cheap to run, but a drawback is they aren't very reliable because it's not always windy. Wave generators use the energy in waves to power a generator, and these are also very cheap to run. However, they're quite expensive to set up. Tidal generators are similar to wave generators, but instead of using waves, they use the tides, which is a lot more reliable. And again, they're very cheap to run. But a drawback is they're very expensive to set up, and these ones can also be kind of hazardous to local wildlife. Hydroelectric power stations use running water to turn the generators and produce electricity. These are again very cheap to run, but again, they're very expensive to set up. Geothermal power stations use hot water from deep underground to produce steam, which turns the generators. Again, these are very reliable, but again, they're very expensive to set up. Solar cells can convert the energy in sunlight directly into electricity. This is the only type of energy resource that we've talked about today that doesn't involve a generator turning. These are very cheap to run. You just need to put them out in the sunshine, but they can be quite expensive to begin with, and also they're not very reliable just because it's not always sunny. One final note is that fossil fuels and nuclear power are both non-renewable. That means these fuels will someday run out. On the entire planet, we won't have any fossil fuels and any nuclear power left at some point in the future. However, everything else that we've talked about is a renewable energy resource. That means it's replenished as it's used. It will never run out. There are a few other types of energy resource as well, but these are the main ones that we use around the world at the moment, and it's super important if you can remember the gist of most of them.